Hey guys, welcome to PSG. This is Shank, and today I'm going to be recapping the story of the Red War, Destiny 2's initial campaign. The Red War still ranks as the most devastating loss the city has ever had to endure. During this months-long occupation, Guardians of the Last City were forced to retreat to the outer reaches of the Sol system. Thousands of Guardians suffered their final deaths, and the total civilian casualties tally in the millions. How could this have happened? This video will examine the preceding events leading up to the attack, the campaign and its major players, and the aftermath left in its wake. This is the Red War. To understand the full scope of the Red War, we must first examine the events of Destiny 1. The Cabal Empire has always been an aggressive, militaristic, spacefaring empire which both culturally and economically relies on waging an ever-expanding war. This led to the deployment of scout legions to the Sol system. The Blind Legion, Bone Crushers, Broken Legion, Dust Giants, Ice Reapers, Sand Eaters, and Siege Dancers were all deployed to the Sol system sometime following the collapse. With no major opposition, they quickly established major fortifications across the system. It was not until our Guardian was resurrected that we were finally able to put the Cabal Scout Legions on their back foot. We began taking out their command one by one and broke their grip on Freehold. During the events of the Taken War, a legion known as the Skyburners attempted to secure a beachhead on the Dreadnought. As causal beings in a paracausal world, this led to the utter decimation of nearly the entire Legion. Guardians and Hive routed their forces, and those unlucky enough not to have died were taken by Oryx, becoming a slave to his will. In a last-ditch effort to destroy the Dreadnought, the Shield Brothers attempted to destroy the Dreadnought's power core. Ghost calculated that the power from this explosion would have been enough to destroy much of the Sol system. While we were successful in ultimately stopping this plot, we came across evidence of a distress transmission to the Cabal homeworld of Torobatl. This single transmission would eventually lead to the largest loss of life ever recorded in the City Age. Years later, after our Guardian had successfully fended off the Taken King and ended the Siva crisis, the city began to become complacent, believing we had entered an age of triumph. However, calamity was just around the corner. With the help of some of the Nine, Scion operatives were able to successfully blind the city's satellites to the encroaching Red Legion. For context, the Red Legion was not some simple scout legion like its predecessors. The Red Legion was one of the three largest legions in the Cabal Empire. Led by Dominus Gaul and hidden from view by a paracausal storm, the Red Legion descended swiftly on the last city. Only through Zavala's quick thinking was the Vanguard spared from immediate destruction. The Cabal had managed to infiltrate the city airspace and immediately set to deploying a cage which would sever every Guardian and Ghost from the Traveler. In an attempt to stop them, our Guardian went to confront Gaul, but just as we reached him, the cage was able to strip us of our light. After a threatening monologue, Gaul proceeded to kick us from his ship, presumably to our death. Eventually, Ghost was able to find our crumpled and battered body and heal us with the little energy he had left, but warned he would not be able to revive us if we were to die. The Guardians were powerless, and Guardian and civilian alike were forced to retreat from the city. Those who were unable to make it were either executed or enslaved. In the chaos, the Speaker was captured and the Vanguard went missing. Our escape route led us through to Twilight Gap, where we found a Falcon who led us to Hawthorne, the leader of a refugee camp known as the Farm located in the European Dead Zone. After regrouping at the Farm, our Guardian received a vision from the Traveler. This vision showed a shard of the Traveler was located in the EDZ, and with new conviction and purpose we set out to reach the shard. After fighting through Elixni forces, We reached the shard and were immediately infused with the Traveler's light. With our light restored, we quickly pushed back the Elixnian Cabal forces encroaching on the farm and the EDZ. During our missions, assisting Devrim and Hawthorne, we intercepted a radio broadcast from Zavala, requesting all available Guardian forces regroup on Titan, a moon of Saturn. Without hesitation, and to the dismay of Hawthorne, we readied our ship, and with a promise to return and finish the fight, headed towards the stars. Once on Titan, our Guardian found things were much more dire than Zavala had let on. The rig which Zavala and his deputy commander Sloan had chosen as their staging grounds was infested with hive. These hive were burrowed deep into the new Pacific arcology. And something was different about these hive. They were subtly distinct from the hive we had fought on the moon and Earth and the Dreadnought. The commander immediately put us to work stabilizing the rig and clearing out the hive. Not ones to miss out on a chance to plunder and pillage, the Elixni of the House of Dusk followed us from the EDZ and began warring with the hive and causing mischief for us. During our missions, we encountered one unique captain who seemed unwilling to fight us. He even went as far as to allow us to claim a power core to help us with stabilizing the rig. This captain, Mithrax, would eventually return to Earth to establish the House of Light. But that is a story for another time. After securing the rig, Zavala was able to decrypt part of the Cabal communications network and learned of the Almighty, a colossal ship which had attached itself to our sun and acted as a dead man switch if the Cabal were to be defeated. Knowing he would need the full power of the Vanguard, Zavala sent us on a mission to find Cade and Ikora before turning our attention to the Almighty. Our Guardian is then led to Nessus after intercepting a distress call from Cade 6. An AI of the Golden Age named Failsafe is able to point us in the direction of our lost comrade. Cade had managed to entangle himself in a Vex time loop. After saving Cade, we find out that he was attempting to steal a Vex teleporter to attempt an assassination on the Dominus. We inform him of the Almighty and its stranglehold on the Sol system, and he agrees to rejoin Zavala to plan a counterattack. Before leaving, he instructs us to travel to Io, a moon of Jupiter, to find Ikora. Io is a holy place to many Guardians, as it was the last celestial body the Traveler terraformed before retreating to Earth during the collapse. On Io, we find Ikora in a deep state of self-doubt, unsure of herself and the likelihood of success in defeating the Cabal without our light. After informing her that we were successfully able to reclaim our light, Ikora's resolve strengthens. We begin to investigate Cabal mining operations, which are attempting to mine light from the soil of Io. After foiling their plans, we were able to glean two important pieces of information. One, the Cabal were not merely trying to cut us off from the Traveler's light. They wished to siphon its paracausal power for themselves. And two, the Taken were present and active on Io, indicating there was something more happening behind the scenes. Previously, we had only seen the Taken on the EDZ near the Shard of the Traveler, assuming they were leftovers from the Taken War. Their presence on Io indicated something much more sinister was afoot. Had some unseen force co-opted the Taken? While on Io, we also infiltrated a war mind vault with the assistance of researcher, and everyone's favorite angry grandpa, Asher Mir. We learned the Almighty cannot be destroyed without detonating our sun. We did, however, find a way to shut it down. Ikora leaves Ashermere behind on Io to continue researching the Taken, while she rejoins Zavala and Cade and the rest of the Resistance. The Vanguard Resistance reconvened at the farm to develop a counterattack against the Red Legion. Hawthorne then suggests a direct assault on Legion's anchor, the Red Legion base in the EDZ, to steal Thumus the Unbroken's ship. After successfully infiltrating the base and defeating Thumos and his Bloodguard, we were able to successfully commandeer Thumos' ship and sneak aboard the Almighty. After disposing of the Cabal forces aboard the Almighty, we're able to successfully disable the ship, and the Vanguard is then able to launch a coordinated assault on the last city. Reclaiming large portions of the streets and rooftops leading to Gaul's command ship, the Immortal, we make one last push through the city and are forced to use Cade's teleporter alone after our cohorts are injured. Fighting through the command ship, we arrive on the deck of the ship to find Gaul has successfully found a way to imbue himself with the Traveler's powers. After a short skirmish, we're able to overpower the Dominus, killing him in the process. However, if there's one thing that doesn't matter to paracausal beings, it's death. Gaul begins to reincarnate as a colossal, ethereal being composed solely of light. All hope is lost, as Gaul has successfully raised himself to godhood. Until a miracle occurs. The Traveler, which had laid dormant for millennia, awakens, and with one powerful blast, ends the fledgling god and illuminates the entire system with light. For months, the city had been under Cabal rule. Much of the city laid in ruin. The scar the Red War left on the city and its survivors has never truly healed. The speaker has been silenced after refusing to assist Gaul in his plans, and the war had illuminated other threats to the system. The Hive brood on Titan, the Taken resurgence on Earth and Io, the ever-looming threat of the Vex on Nessus and beyond. Not to mention the remainder of the Red Legion. The Cabal had exposed how truly vulnerable the city was to its enemies. In the weeks following the Red War, we would continue to push back against the Red Legion and humanity's enemies. We ended Protheon, Modular Mind on Nessus, and Brachion, Genesis Mind on Io. We struck at the Red Legion's remaining commanders, Brachus Zahn in the European Dead Zone, and Kargan the Technocrat on Nessus. We even identified the leader of the Hive brood on Titan and the new commander of the Taken, Savathun the Witch Queen, and sister to the Taken King. The most immediate result of the Red War, however, was the arrival of a new Cabal faction on a massive ship called the Leviathan. The leader of this faction was the exiled Emperor Callus. His ship immediately began tearing into Nessus for fuel. Emperor Callus then extended an invitation to the warrior who had slain the treacherous Gaul. After besting a series of challenges designed to test our Guardian's strength, we face off against this would-be Emperor, only to discover that this was a simple cyborg decoy, and one of many. Emperor Callus, pleased with our display of strength, showered us with gifts, encouraging us to grow fat from strength. For the moment at least, it seemed as though Callus was content with simply devouring the Centaur of Nessus. His loyalists showed no open hostility towards the Guardians, unless attacked first. A new player had entered the game in the Sol system, and seemed to be here to stay. The long-lasting effects of the Red War continue to be felt even to this day. Even in the Season of Chosen, we're still dealing with the fallout of this devastating conflict. However, the most terrifying result of this war was the Dark Fleet, which awoke following the Traveler's pulse of light. This was a not-so-short recap of the events of the Red War. Initially, I attempted to shorten this video, but the context set up in this video will be necessary for the remainder of our Destiny lore series. Stay tuned, as we will be recapping each season leading up to Season of the Chosen. We'll also look to the past to examine the Taken War and how it set the stage for Destiny 2. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below so we know to focus more on these types of lore and story recaps. As always, I'm Shank, this is PSG, Stay tuned for all your latest gaming news, reviews, and discussions.